A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, pass fiancé, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Open Bar. And happy Thanksgiving to our American brethren. Yeah. Whatever you're doing today, arguing with family, getting drunk, burning a turkey, whatever feels appropriate to you, I suppose.
It's just assumed, just like you're arguing over politics there, aren't you?
That's probably. It's what you do with family at a gathering. You know?
At least a big turkey.
I imagine it's particularly spicy this year, but anyway, never mind. I was going to, as we always do, present a few facts for today, and I've compiled a few about Thanksgiving, but I think we should actually bring in our panel first so we can do that, because some of them are actually American, so it makes more sense.
That does make more sense. Good job.
All right, let us just make it happen. So, welcome to the bar. Tyrone Magnus, Disparu, and box office brawler making his debut on the Open Bar. Welcome, gentlemen. And, man, especially for the American chaps here, thank you for joining us on Thanksgiving. I can't believe you've not got more interesting things to do today.
Everything's closed.
Okay.
It doesn't take that long eating your Thanksgiving. We always have Thanksgiving lunch, so I'm more used to Thanksgiving lunch than Thanksgiving dinner. So this doesn't complicate things. Yeah,
that's not too. Yeah, and you can have a few drinks beforehand as well, so you're all ready for the Open Bar. It makes sense. There you go. Perfect. We're here, and I managed to find a few pointless facts about Thanksgiving, stuff that I didn't actually know. Actually, a few of them. So I will present them to you as best I can. So apparently, the very first
loads of facts. Being Scottish, it's just like I'm a Thanksgiving expert.
Yeah, just got some weird secret obsession with Thanksgiving. The very first one was celebrated way back in 1621. It was a 3-day harvest festival that included 50 pilgrims and 90 Wampanoag Indians. And I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but there it is. That's the very first time it was celebrated. And apparently turkey was not on the menu back then. It actually wasn't served until around the 1800s. So I don't know what they ate back then, like mud and stuff, and just misery, I guess.
Misery.
just raw corn. But apparently, at Thanksgiving, Americans are going to eat on average 46 million turkeys each, which is about 17% of the total turkey population in the US. So that's brutal. They get decimated this time of year.
Tragic day for turkeys.
I do wonder, if they only eat 17% of them, right? What the hell are the other 83% for? Just keeping them around. I guess, yeah. But I did like this quote. Arnold Schwarzenegger once had something to say about Thanksgiving turkeys, actually, that I thought was very apt. He said, "I love Thanksgiving turkey. It's the only time in Los Angeles where you see natural breasts." I thought I'd try to do it in his accent, but nah.
When did he say that? What year did he say that?
There's not a year attributed to the quote, so sadly.
It must have been fucking 30 plus years ago that he said that.
Yeah, there's no
definitely
way
not the governor at that time.
And weirdly, TV dinners were actually invented because of Thanksgiving. Apparently in 1953, an employee, C.A. Swanson, overestimated demand for turkey, and he ordered too many, actually 260 tons too many. But they decided they could get around this by getting aluminium trays. And I'm going to call it aluminium, not aluminum, like you crazy guys over there. And they created a ready-made turkey meal, which was the birth of the TV dinner right there because of Thanksgiving. So nice one. Anyway, that was my pointless facts about Thanksgiving there. So I consider myself slightly more educated on it now. But yeah. We also tend to talk a little bit about the year that was as we count down the years of Open Bar. And in this case, it's the year 2020. So we're almost caught up now. We're almost back to present day. But it was a slow year for box office for obvious reasons. The unspecified virus of unknown origin was starting to make itself felt. And yeah, what do we have here? So, biggest movies of the year. The first, number one, for a worldwide total of 423 million was Demon Slayer. Never would have guessed it. Next in line was The 800, which had 461 million. And then Bad Boys for Life was in third place with 426. My People, My Homeland, which I'm not familiar with. And then in fifth place was Tenet, which we all remember the joys of that one. It was a rough year for movies.
Well, you know what? Back in 2020, when everyone was locked up, nobody wanted to do anything. My friends and I, we were more interested in having fun and still like moving on with our lives. So we went to the theater all the time, and the theaters never closed around where I live, and they just played older movies, and I got to see some great titles. Like, I'm only 22 years old. I got to see some of my favorite old classics in the theaters weekly. Like every week we would go. And everybody acted like the theaters were completely dead. At least not where I was. I got to see some really great classics back in the theaters.
Please tell me by classics you don't mean 90s movies.
Man,
it's like
maybe a few.
I was halfway for him to say Lord of the Rings.
At this point, man,
old classics.
That's a classic for me, man. I hate to say it, it's a classic.
Kind of is now. I mean, that year, like talking about 2020, it's also the year that gave us Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, the remake of Mulan, and the New Mutants. It was a rough year. It made for great fodder for reviewers, though. I mean, that was great. But, well, anyway, that was the year that was, and that was the Thanksgiving that was, I suppose. But we are here today to talk about current events. And I guess the big news story of the week in terms of box office and movies is Glicked, the phenomenon that is, because both Wicked and Gladiator 2 have opened pretty strong. I'm just kind of looking at their worldwide takes so far. Gladiator 2 is at 232 million already, 67 million domestic and 165 worldwide, which is not bad after one weekend.
Well, it is for the budget, though, isn't it? It's like 310 million or something.
It's going to depend on the legs that it has, but it seems to be holding relatively well. I mean, obviously, we're only on Thursday at the moment, so we're going to have to wait and see what this weekend brings. But from what I've read, it seems to be holding reasonably well throughout the week, which is perhaps a good sign for its long-term prospects. But yeah, it is a big budget, so it's going to have to go some to make it back. Whereas Wicked, they're like weirdly unbalanced, I suppose, because Gladiator had like a global opening or an international opening that was way ahead of the American one, so the international tally is way higher. In Wicked's case, it's sitting at 194 million worldwide, so 144 million domestic, which is a strong opening weekend, but it's only at 50 million international. Again, because Gladiator 2 had that big head start on it, so I mean, it seems pretty safe to assume Wicked's going to pass it quite easily, and it's going to be the dominant force in this one, kind of like Barbie was with Oppenheimer. But I don't know. I don't know where either of these movies are going to end up in terms of their final totals. But for the time of year, they seem to be doing surprisingly well.
And Wicked, though, seems to be getting good reviews, and Gladiator doesn't. So I can't imagine Gladiator keeping the same kind of like having that many legs when that much legs when. The best I've heard about it is it's kind of mid. That's just about the best I've heard.
I mean, that's really all you can say about it, really, isn't it?
From what I'm gathering, it's like they're hitting their target demographics differently, right? Like Wicked's probably doing just fine, if not great, for the people who want to see it. Gladiator 2, on the other hand, mixed would probably be the best you could say about it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, yesterday, I went and saw Wicked yesterday because I had a feeling we'd be talking about it. It's the film I've been avoiding my whole life. I didn't want to touch this ever. This would be the only reason possible. I loved it. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. And I went to the noon showing yesterday, completely full, sold out, noon. It's insane. I know it's like right before Thanksgiving, but it was weird sight to see.
Yeah,
What was your favorite song?
Probably Popular.
For this evening tonight, I did go and see it today, so that I could talk about it a little bit. And I guess I can only echo what Chris Gore said last week. And I'm not going to use the Thai food analogy. I'll say it in more logical terms. Like, if you like musicals, then you're going to absolutely love this. If you're not into them, if you don't like musical theater, this ain't going to win you over. It's very much got all the tropes of the genre.
I know.
If you like the Wicked stage show, this is right up your alley because it's just a beat for beat copy of it, just with a bit of extra extravagance that you would get from movie making. I mean, I'll say Ariana Grande was surprisingly good. I thought she was going to be the weak link in terms of performances because she's a singer, so I know she can belt out the musical numbers, but like, can she actually like say words and make them believable? She kind of can. She's all right. And Cynthia Erivo, again, pretty solid actress, and yeah, she can obviously hold her own when it comes to the musical numbers as well. So, I mean, overall, I was quite surprised by it. I guess it's like I say, it's one of those things. Like, if you're not into that kind of stuff, it's not going to win you over. But if you are, you'll love it. And Chris was right. This movie is gay as fuck. It could not be gayer than it is.
I knew it.
Like, if there was a gauge for the level of gayness in it, it's maxed out, man. It's in the red line. Like,
yes.
exactly, yeah. But I don't know, like, I wondered if things like the little meltdown that Cynthia Erivo had on social media when she barked at a fan who like altered the Wicked poster might have tainted the box office prospects. It doesn't seem to have done any harm. It'll be one of those things that's just an internet thing and general audiences won't know or care about it.
I don't think it's necessarily as an internet thing. I just think the group of people which are annoyed at that aren't the group of people that would have ever liked Wicked. They're the people that would have agreed with her. I mean, like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. That was a wrong thing to do. That was a social faux pas. It's going to be, well, it's going to be more men that are annoyed with that kind of thing in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how, like, these terrible decisions, like, that these actresses, actors, whatever else, when they go online and they talk on social media, I'm really curious about if that ever even reaches the common consumer. Do they ever hear that by any means necessary? I mean, if they're not watching you guys, then I don't know how else they'll hear that, because obviously, older people, they're watching, the mainstream news and such, and most of that's biased anyway. So I'm what are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think they actually, common audiences, understand that?
I imagine that they do watch other YouTubers or TikTok or so. I imagine there's some kind of place that they see it. They just see it from different people. So they will have seen it from people that were on her side and go, look at what this people did. Wasn't she right to defend herself? And they were like, oh. So you can be in a little bubble where you think everyone's against it. It's like, no, there's a whole group of people over here that all agree with it, and they could just be the fans.
I think in terms of like
different audience.
The broader public awareness, I think it has to get like nuclear grade bad for it to spill over into like general audience awareness. Like, probably there's a level of yeah, exactly. I think that got to the point where probably regular audiences are vaguely aware of it, whether it's reported on by like certain news outlets or it just makes it through to like trending on social media or whatever it might be. I think that level of controversy does eventually filter through so that normal people even hear about it. But it takes quite a bit.
You're saying Ezra Miller's Rampage truly was the reason people didn't like The Flash?
That was the only reason, yeah.
The amount of people I've heard call him the Mad Goose Wizard, though. I mean, that video did go viral.
That is a name, though, I haven't heard in a long time. Ezra Miller. I'd forgotten he even existed.
Of him.
Yeah. The Mad Goose Wizard.
Every time I say Ezra Miller, always followed by the Mad Goose Wizard.
But God, he's dropped off the map, though, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I've not heard anything from him since The Flash came out.
Yep.
Do you think they're going to do the whole like, hey, just keep a low profile for a year or so, and then we'll relaunch you, and everyone will have forgotten,
refresh you?
Yeah.
Go out with, like an apology video. I've learned from my ways. I've changed. I put a lot of effort into self-improvement.
Thing is, go long enough and making that video, most of the comments will be like, "Who even are you?" Like, oh,
Yeah.
you remember? I played the Flash.
It was a good movie. That whole era feels like so long ago. You know, the Flash, the Black Adam,
man.
like Blue Beetle. It was only like last year.
That was what an insane arc when it started out of like, so new management, new set of projects, but we have all of these other projects to go out. It's just like, fucking hell. They're all just lame duck films that you're gonna just pop out. Wow.
There was no winning that situation. It was always going to be, you know, we have to just tough this out, and we're going to have to take the hit on this one financially because we're in a no-win scenario.
Do you remember they clearly decided we're going to pack all of our enthusiasm and marketing into the Flash, and we're going to ignore Shazam 2. Like, we're not even
Didn't he say it was his favorite movie of all time or something?
Yes, he did lie. You're right. Yes,
You did lie. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't just lie. He took it to the stratosphere. This is the best superhero movie I've ever seen. It's like, wait, what?
I can totally buy why they put all their effort into the Flash, though, because it was undoubtedly the most expensive, and it had some of the biggest names.
Batman, so
yeah, and so like that probably seemed like their best shot at success. And wow, yeah, look how that turned out.
3 different Batmans in that movie too.
Yeah. Wait, what's the third one?
George Clooney.
Oh yeah. Oh, the 2 seconds of screen time.
As for as trash as that movie was, you know, I loved Supergirl. I thought she did a great job. I'm kind of sad. I don't think they're running with her anymore. I think they scrapped her. They got some new girl in the next movie, I guess, like a Supergirl movie.
I think she even tweeted something a little spicy regarding James Gunn dropping her entirely. I'd have to find it, but I remember seeing a whole bunch of tweets saying like, yeah, she's been mistreated, all this stuff, because people quite liked her in the film generally, from what I saw.
Yeah, I thought she was decent. You know, like she didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to do much, but she looked good in the costume. She seemed decent enough performance-wise. What's that?
So she was all right.
She was
no way.
solidly mid.
I wanted like the original Supergirl look. You know, like a lot of fans did. So I'm tired of the whole. I gotta be. You know, I have the lesbian haircut. I gotta be tough. I'm tired of them pushing that.
But she didn't really act like a kind of girl boss character. Like she wasn't arrogant or like overbearing or anything.
They didn't do that. But there's a certain demeanor to her that I could see, and it wasn't Supergirl to me. You know?
I don't even think she was as good a Supergirl as Melissa Benoist.
No,
she it just looks the part way more than the one we got in the movie. I don't know why they didn't use the seat, because I think both the Flash and Supergirl were good actors for the role and fit with it. So I think they could have done, unless they thought that the TV series tainted them, and they were like, well, nobody watched those, and they've been axed now. So
I think it's usually just a case of they're not big enough stars to try and market for a movie.
Maybe
it usually comes down to that. It's just
what Ezra Miller was.
I mean, people knew of him, probably for all the wrong reasons, but they knew of him, sadly. It is that whole Jack Sparrow meme. It's like, well, but you have heard of me.
Yeah, but everyone's running in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just taking a shot on him. There are actors like that sometimes. They come out of nowhere, kind of, and they're given a shot, and you're kind of like, you really haven't proven yourself yet, but you'll see that done every once in a while.
Yeah, they try to push someone, or they try to launch their career, and it is just like kind of a manufactured star. Like I think they tried to do that with Taylor Kitsch back in the day. They really tried hard with Jonathan Majors, and they were succeeding until the whole beating up women thing came out, and funnily enough, that didn't work out too well. And I think they're trying to do it with Zendaya as well. I always got that impression with her that like she's not really a big star, but like they want her to be.
They're pushing her so hard. I'm so sick of Zendaya. My family and I, we can't stand her, and I just don't understand. So many people my age like her, and a lot of my friends, they think she's like hot, and I don't get it at all. I don't.
I got you, man.
It's disappointing.
I don't.
Like, there's memes of her where she's always got a bad smell. Like, she's always just sniffed something. She doesn't like you. Oh, all the time.
like
the entire movie.
Yeah, sort of wrinkling her nose and frowning. Like,
on that note of people like who are just chosen to become popular, whether or not they're actually popular. Surely, isn't Rachel Zegler like the number one for that?
She feels like that too. Yeah.
Popular is not a word I'd associate with her, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. She's like, it's all forced. None of it's actually working. Like she has nothing of a history, and then West Side Story, Shazam, Hunger Games, and Snow White all within like a few years, and it's just like, what the fuck? When did this happen?
It's unfortunate though, because she can really sing. Like, she would actually be a star if she could just be nice. That's all she has to do, because she is like genuinely talented.
This is the thing, like, because she did.
Can she act though?
I've only seen her sing, to be honest.
I only saw her in Shazam 2, which was not good.
I haven't seen West Side Story, so I don't really know.
I saw like 10 minutes of it. It's all in Spanish or whatever. Half of it Spanish or whatever. So it's like.
So, I mean, as I understand it, like that was kind of her breakout role, and like that's fine. Like sometimes actors just, they have a role that just kind of brings them to attention, and then they get something bigger, and that's their opportunity to prove themselves. And I assumed that that's what Snow White was, and it probably would have been a pretty standard career arc where that movie would have done fine, and that would have been her launch pad to do like more interesting roles. Instead, like she's attracted all the controversy just because she can't shut her mouth and stop voicing stupid opinions. And that's what has put her on the map, really, for all the wrong reasons. Like, I feel like she would have had just a fairly unremarkable but successful career arc if it hadn't been for all this. And it's just, this has brought her down, I suppose.
Some people just can't read the room. She doesn't know.
It feels like there is a genre of celebrity, quote unquote, that is selected for fame, and everyone's looking around like, who made this person famous? What's happening?
She's still getting roles too, I mean, she's in this new, I guess they're advertising this Y2K movie, and then she's in the Saturday Night that just came out. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, like, come on. I heard there was a rumor there the MCU's looking for her. I'm like, what are you just looking to fail before?
Dude, why? That's just the way it works. Like, you have to get a Star Wars role and a Marvel role, and then that's that. You've done it. Like,
yeah. Honestly, put her and Brie Larson together in a movie. I dare you.
And that's Brie Larson the Marvel any day over her.
Yeah.
I can imagine like Brie's just really thankful because she did take a lot of the heat off her. And it's like, we didn't know how good we had it.
Thank you, God.
She needs to make a little book to ward all these other girls. Like, trust me, it didn't work. It went real bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could use her as a case study, I suppose, of just like, here's what you don't do if you want to have a successful career in Hollywood.
Damn right.
I think what was most surprising is Variety put a lot of effort into trying to sort of rehabilitate her image. They got her on with various different actors. They did a big puff piece article about her. It was like singing her praises and crapping on everyone that didn't like her. And then if she just been quiet after that, and kept doing that, it might have worked. But then she had to come out again. It's like, you can't rehabilitate your image if you don't actually change. It's not going to last long term.
I had to just put this one up because I love it. I think this is autocorrect going to town on this poor person. Do you think you and Mauler eat up on real life?
Yeah,
Mauler, are you going to eat up?
I've always wanted to eat up real life with you.
If you don't eat up your real life, you won't get your pudding. But yeah, I'm sure it'd be lovely to meet up in real life.
It'll happen.
It's just cool. Like, this guy lives in like the remotest corner of Wales, and it's like really difficult to get to. So yeah,
gonna be beautiful. Lord. We'll eat everything up.
Yeah, we'll go through a stroll through the valley. It'll be beautiful. But yeah.
Gladiator 2 was mentioned, and I just wanted to see if anyone here have you heard about what Ridley Scott's cinematographer said about him?
No.
I know it's going to sound a little bit weird, but this I happened to catch this in, like, when you go on any site with articles and there's like a whole slew of them on the left or right. It was one of those ones, and I saw it and I was like, is that real? And as far as I can tell, it is. I'll just read it out. in a recent podcast interview, Gladiator 2 cinematographer John Matheson seems to have thrown Ridley Scott under the bus. He said he's worked as Scott's director of photography for films including Gladiator, Matchstick Men, Kingdom of Heaven, and there's a good chance they're never going to work together again after these comments. So that's a good setup, eh? Matheson claims Scott has become lazy and rushes to get things done. He further adds Scott's current approach has negatively impacted the quality of his recent films, including their look and feel. He went on to claim the director has changed and was now quite impatient on set, which he felt has a detrimental effect on the finished product or production. And he told the podcast that Scott now shoots with scenes with multiple cameras rather than one, resulting in less attention to detail. It's really lame, really lazy, Matheson continued. It's the CG elements now of tidying up, leaving things in shot, cameras in shot, microphones in shot, bits of set hanging down, shadows from booms. And they just said on Gladiator 2, well, clean it up. He is quite impatient, so he likes to get as much done as he can at once. And it's not good for cinematography, he explained.
I mean, like, if I was to pick out my biggest issues with Gladiator 2, like, sure, I guess you could say the cinematography might not be as good as the first one, and there's an over-reliance on CGI, but, like, the biggest issue is just the story's shit.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I think surely this is it's not necessarily about that. It would be the broadness of just Ridley Scott in general. I have to imagine this is going to reflect everything, not just cinematography.
I mean, do you get to that stage in life where you're like, shit, I'm probably going to be dead soon. I should probably try and make as many things as I can while I've still got time.
I mean,
and that's why I'm trying to rush through it all.
That's the thing. If that's what it is, as far as I'm concerned, that is an explanation, not an excuse. It's like, I understand why it's happening, but that doesn't mean that you should be doing this. You shouldn't be just pouring out shit just because you're old. Like, it's right.
And particularly doing it on just like really like generic sequels like this, just kind of cash grab sequels that are pretty derivative of the first one. You know, I think you mentioned this on like a Last Order stream that we did. Like, if you're at that stage in your career, you've got nothing left to prove as a filmmaker. Like, get crazy and experimental. Like, take risks, because why not? This is the time to do it. You don't have to play it safe anymore. Like, you can just take on the wildest, craziest projects imaginable and try and bring them to life.
Wouldn't it be like, kind of cool to, like, you know, be a part of the projects for sure, but why not try and mentor some new talented directors and take them under your wing? Well, you know, say for example with Gladiator 2, he clearly wanted to be a part of it. Sure, I understand that. But it would have been nice if it wasn't a cheap, lazy, lame copy of your film that you made many, many years ago that everyone loved. And so instead you could have made something that had a bit more life in it, I guess is the way to put it. And I just think these comments about the cinematography would reflect so much more about the way that he's making films, to the point where he's just pumping out. And it's like, well, that's still impressive for the man of his age, right? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know how involved he even is anymore. Yeah, well, that's another thing. Who cares if they're all going to be, you know, forgotten?
Yeah, because for most of my life, literally since I started doing YouTube, I never cared who made the movie. I didn't want to know who the scriptwriters were. The moment the credits went, I left. I only wanted to know, is the movie good? And I didn't care about the backstage people at all. The only reason I know who people are now is because they're making crap, and I want to know what they're attached to next, so I know that's crap as well. That's why I learned their names. And so it doesn't really bother. I'm only concerned with sort of the end output of his stuff rather than his intentions.
Yeah, I get you. Because I'm pretty much in the same position, and man, I have to imagine that's going to sting a little bit, right? To have a cinematographer that's been with you for that many movies be like, I'm not working with you anymore because you're making shit.
Yeah.
You're like, damn.
I mean, there's also, like, if you're 86, the quality of your work in any industry is going to go down at 86. Like, surely you are reaching an age where you will not be able to do what you were able to, not just physically, but mentally and everything else. Even in an office job, I wouldn't expect the same of an 86-year-old that they could do when they were younger.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I'm assuming, like, being a director, particularly on big budget epics like Gladiator 2 and stuff, it's a tremendously demanding job physically and mentally, and it is probably extremely stressful. And damn, man, as you say, at 86, do you really want that stress in your life? Do you need it?
I would have retired decades ago.
Yeah. I mean, we say that maybe that's the only thing that's keeping him going. Maybe it's just like,
honestly,
making films. It just gives me energy.
like I said, I'm glad he's still doing it, and I'm happy to see he's still making movies, especially if he loves doing it. But like, you can't escape the fact then that I'll be considering your movie shit if you keep making shit ones. I'm just gonna say, these are the consequences of your actions.
And I think you pointed out, like, he's gradually making his way through all of his old franchises that he helped to create, and destroying them. He's done it with Alien, he's done it with Gladiator at this point. Like, what's left to ruin?
Well,
if he,
because he was connected to the Blade Runner sequel as well, right? Like, he would have produced it at the very least.
Maybe an executive producer credit or something. Like, I don't think he was directly involved, but yeah, you can only imagine what it'd be like if he was put in charge of the next Blade Runner.
You know what was disappointing for me? I was looking forward to seeing the new Napoleon, like back when it was like hot and it was being advertised, and I was really disappointed when I heard that. First off, like a bunch of it was like fictionalized, right? And that a lot of it didn't really happen, which doesn't surprise me too much. But I mean, it was completely outlandish. And then what really disappointed me was seeing that, what was it like? I heard that half of the story like focused on his girlfriend or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not signing up for this. It's like, I want to see Joaquin Phoenix at his finest here represent this incredible historical character. So disappointing. I'm glad I never wasted my time.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you've got Napoleon, like literally one of the most interesting people in all of history, and you spend an hour at least of the film just focusing on Josephine, who really didn't do that much historically, but like they just wanted that balance there. It's a waste of fucking time. I think there is going to be like a director's cut of it that's like 8 hours long or something.
I won't be watching it.
Yeah. And
he's got 19 upcoming projects, with different
that's almost as many as Pedro Pascal.
But what's interesting to me is, of course, you read through the list, you're like, oh, there's an alien, another alien, a Blade Runner. It's just like, God, this sucks.
He's not the only one, though. There's a few people returning, like Russell T. Davis, David Tennant, both came back to Doctor Who specifically to destroy it, because they're not the same people they were before. And, I think people change over time, and some changes just mean you're not capable of what you were doing, because you don't have the same values and everything else that you're used to, so you make different stories.
Well, yeah, your values can change, and as you pointed out before, like your actual creative abilities decline with age. Like there's obviously that sweet spot, I guess. It could be 50, it could be 60 or whatnot, when you're still like relatively fit and energetic and you can still create stuff. But beyond that, you start to decline. And look at guys like George R.R. Martin. He's lost all of his creative impulses and all of his creative energy. He's never going to finish his books, but he doesn't care. He's old and fat, and he's just happy to go to premieres and get loads of attention, and that's fine for him.
I think that happens as you age as well, though. You just stop caring what other people think as much. And so by the time he's 86, before, when he may have taken criticism from his cinematographer, where he's like, no, we need to do this, he's like, nah, I know best. And he's just like completely uncontrolled, unrestrained, not listening to anybody. And it could just be that the guy used to be listened to and his advice used to be taken on board, and now he's like, no, I've been doing this for so many decades, I don't need your advice anymore.
The one that still baffles me is Clint Eastwood. Like, I fucking love him, and he's like an icon of cinema, but like, he's about 96 years old. How is he still making movies? And why?
Well, have you seen Jura 2, I think it is, right?
I've heard not great things about it.
I haven't seen it yet, but the trailer made me interested. But I'm curious how that. I almost want to see it just to see what it looks like to watch a film made by a 900,000-year-old zombie. I want to see what's. I'm curious. I'd love to watch the process of him directing a film at that age. I want to see if it is like him mostly just sitting down and other people doing things, or if he's actually telling people to do stuff, like with everything.
I mean, I heard rumors that like he relies quite a bit on like assistant directors and various people around him to do a lot of the work for him, and he's kind of just overseeing it at this point, which I could understand.
Because I wonder if that's what the studios are doing and the production companies, like, he's got such a name that we can grab him and then
just wheeling this poor man out on set.
I mean, a little bit.
He's got like a blanket over him and stuff.
Well, dude, you got Nicholas Hoult, Toni Collette, J.K. Simmons, Kiefer Sutherland, Zoe. Oh, I thought it was someone else actually. But anyway, like, it's enough to grab some names, right? Clint Eastwood, especially for actors who maybe in their 30s and 40s being like, I'd love to chance to work with him before I can't, you know?
Oh yeah, that's a big deal. That's why like a lot of people signed up for Marlon Brando movies like towards the end of his career because it's like, holy fuck, I'm going to get a chance to work with Marlon Brando. I've got to take this opportunity because he's pretty old now. And that's how you ended up with Val Kilmer in Island of Dr. Moreau. And it turns out they absolutely hated each other.
Well, so speaking of Clint Eastwood, you guys watch like I just looked up because I was curious. So he had Cry Macho. That was one of his recent films, and then he did The Mule. I really like The Mule. Cry Macho was really a sleeper for me. Did any of you see that by chance?
No.
I didn't. I was put off a little bit by the feedback on it, and I kind of wanted to remember him more as he was. Like for me, like I think his last movie I would want to remember him for would be Gran Torino.
Yes,
because like he still nailed it with that.
That would have been a really good movie to close out on. Like I think for like because the rest, like, what do you guys think of American Sniper?
That was decent. I think I got a lot of stick because I did a review of it, and then so many comments were like, I think it was Chris Kyle, the guy's real name was. He made up a lot of the stuff in his autobiography, and like, a lot of the things never happened and shit. But I was like, well, I'm not here to assess the man. I'm here to assess the movie. And yeah, I thought it was decent. Not the best war movie you're ever going to see, but it was fine. I thought Bradley Cooper did a pretty good job.
What is everyone's favorite Clint Eastwood directed film?
Ooh, directed.
He did $1 Million Baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was good.
I love that movie. It's awesome.
What was the one where he was he does this? Yeah, I'm talking about, right?
That was Gran Torino.
Yeah, okay, that was really good too.
That's a great one. I love Gran Torino. It's got to be the best, definitely. I just saw it said he directed, and obviously he starred in what is it, Heartbreak Ridge. I remember watching that. I just wasn't too into it. That was a little disappointing for me.
I think that was like it wasn't quite a serious Clint Eastwood movie. Like it was still a bit of a gung-ho 80s action flick. And it was fine for what it was. But like, yeah, it was just him proving that he can still do like action roles, I suppose. He did Unforgiven, didn't it? Like he directed that as well as starring in it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's Unforgiven is just a step above the rest. It's too fucking good. That's an automatic lock-in. It's just an amazing film.
He directed Mystic River too. That's a great one.
Is that the one with Sean Penn and a whole bunch of other people?
Yeah, Sean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good. There was a super chat that came in here. I wanted to bring this up while I still remembered the context for it. So it was a reference to one that we covered on Last Orders from Sticky Fingered Bandit saying, in answer to your previous question, Drinker, those 656 graves were dug by hand, and I cannot disclose if they passed by my own hand, but I'm glad I'm not a grave digger anymore. Loving the new job and love the show.
Damn. All right. Yeah, because we were speculating on whether or not it was like a machine job.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you use an excavator? Damn, man.
Because how you just get one onto the
now I'm
graveyard
picturing
without
him
going over all the graves.
I'm picturing him like a groundskeeper Willie type in the deep town, like a really small town. He's got a little graveyard. He's digging the 650 people died there.
Or he'd like preemptively dug them. It's like, well, they're going to die eventually, so I might as well have the graves ready. I mean, it would be a tremendous workout, if nothing else, like digging all them. Well done, man. But yeah, I hope you've got like a more chilled office job or something now where you can just kick back, cup of coffee, and just do spreadsheets or something. I think you've earned a bit of rest. There's another one here from Derek who says, can you imagine J.R.R. Tolkien, who fought in World War I and lived through World War II, saying he couldn't finish Lord of the Rings because he was bothered by the rise of fascism? George R.R. Martin is taking the piss. He'll probably spend the next 4 years blaming Trump for his lack of progress. I don't doubt it one bit. There'll always be something for him. They'll be like, it was a cloudy day. I couldn't do any writing today. I felt a little bit sad.
He does it voluntarily, though. Like, he writes on his own blog an excuse why he hasn't been writing. It's like, you don't even have to do that. He's like sitting there trying to come up with the next excuse he can write voluntarily. Like, what was it? Patrick Rothfuss. He hasn't finished his books in years either. He just shuts up.
Hey, Gary. Happy Thanksgiving to you, man. And yes, you Americans.
Joke's on you, I don't even know what Thanksgiving's for. So if it's at least Independence Day, I know I'm being insulted.
I mean, it makes November a little bit more interesting, though, doesn't it? It gives you something to look forward to because it's a pretty bleak month otherwise. So I can see why it's there.
Yeah,
it's just food day. I mean, just eating food and family. That's all we got. Nobody really knows.
Friday.
I mean, do you guys get
the year?
Do you guys get to Christmas Day and you're like, I feel like we did this like a few weeks ago? It's just like eating the same food. Okay.
Feels exactly the same.
That's it. Like, that's the reason for Black Friday, isn't it? It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. That's when everyone goes shopping.
Yeah.
Do you not celebrate that like anywhere else? Is that just an American thing?
Like, I don't think it's pinned down to a specific Friday now. Like, there seems to be about a dozen Black Fridays throughout the year for us in the UK, and none of them really
It's been
stick.
Black Friday all week so far. Like, the sales start earlier and earlier and earlier.
Yeah. They took
the fun out of it. They took the fun out of it. I used to love getting up at 5 a.m. and going shopping on Friday for the best things, having a list, all the stops, and now it's so boring. All of it's online. It's all available for like 3 weeks. It's like
Black Friday month.
Come on. There's no fun anymore.
Well, you know how you see all those videos of like when the stores open their doors and like just this tidal wave of people go spilling in. I
Someone's
think
punching a granny in the face for
wrestling over a like big 50-inch TV. But we tried that once in the UK and had like a specific day where we'd have those kind of sales, and like one person got shoved over, and they were like, "Oh no, this is terribly let's stop this." That was the end of Black Friday for us.
While Americans are dying on Black Friday, and we're still doing it.
Straight up shooting each other.
I mean, people nowadays, they're not even shopping Black Friday in the afternoon. I mean, I still get up super early and go shopping, and it's completely dead in the morning. People start to show up around 2 p.m. where I'm from. It's just sad. The culture is so different now.
Yeah, there we go. Black Eye Friday in the UK. Thing is, you got a lot of knives in this country as well, so stabbings are never too far away. So you always got to be aware of that.
You see the Ghostface was in Mortal Kombat, and there was like a fatality where he comes from both sides and just stabs the person until they basically stab like 1,000 times. And someone quote tweeted it saying, "When you ask for directions in Britain."
Mostly London, to be fair.
London, yeah.
Here's a good one, because we were talking about Ridley Scott there. So this one's from Warrior Poet. Says, Scott made a good year in 2006 about leaving the money behind and enjoying life. Oh shit, it's vanished. Hold on. Where are you? Bring it up here. Yeah. Leaving the money behind and enjoying life on a vineyard. Mate, do you watch your own movies? I mean, yeah. I do. Yeah, apparently he did say that he made that one as almost like a vacation kind of movie, where it was just like a nice, easygoing film, working with Russell Crowe again. Like, didn't have to go through any crazy training regimes, didn't have to be like fighting people and killing people. It was just a fun little movie that they did in the south of France. And to be fair, I do quite like A Good Year. It's like just comfort food, I suppose, as a movie. Yeah, it's a neat little film. I do quite like it.
You're not talking about Gladiator 2, are you?
We're not, no.
Okay, good. I thought that's what you were talking about for a second.
A good year.
Oh, A Good Year. Okay, I got
yeah, a Ridley Scott movie where he just wanted to do something more laid back and chill.
Okay.
And he did. So yeah.
One thing I'll give Gladiator 2, I saw it in IMAX, and it was just nice seeing, guys just try to absolutely kill each other with everything they had, like in IMAX. Like, I feel like we don't get that sort of intensity anymore. So I'll give the film that much credit. And I mean, I turned my brain off really from the start and just tried to enjoy it for that. And I left satisfied on that front specifically.
I didn't think we got that even in the movie, though. All the fights were really short. The tactics of them were all, like, the one thing that pisses me off the most is when there's two boats going at each other. One's got archers, one doesn't. And he's going to ram the ship. And then he decides to turn to cut off all the oars so he can turn around and ram him. Like, ram him the first pissing time. Oh, no. Many of the fights annoyed me. And I did sit in the cinema thinking this will annoy Shad. And he was even more angry.
Yeah. The whole idea of, like, destroying their oars so they can't maneuver Like that might work out. Well, you're in a fucking like Colosseum. You've only got about 50 yards on both sides. It's not like you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter if you can maneuver your boat. You just need to get close to them and like leap on board or shoot arrows at them. It's fine. Like
I expected more complex fights, like the rhino thing, and it was just he threw a bit of dust in the air and it's over. I'm like, are you going to have a big fight? Like, I feel like Gladiator had much longer, more intense. Even Spartacus, I think, did better gladiatorial fights than
there's this beautiful shot in the first Gladiator where I think it's when he fights Tigris, and it's like a wide shot of the two of them duking out across the Colosseum, and the sun, like the big shafts of sunlight just like streaking in from the top. And it was inspired by a painting that Ridley Scott had seen of gladiatorial combat, and he said that is beautiful. I want that in my movie, and he did, and it was just this perfect replication of it. And it was so, it's like it's what movies were invented for. Shots like that, it just looked beautiful. And we never really got anything like that with Gladiator 2. There was lots of CGI fights that were, very impressive in theory, but like didn't have any weight behind them. The fight between Pedro Pascal and Lucius didn't have any real emotional heft to it, because like neither of them were really into the fight. They were just like dumped into the arena to do it. It's nothing on the fight between Commodus and Maximus from the first movie. There was real animosity there. There was really emotional weight behind it, and you just never got that with this movie. It was just a lot of superficial flash, and that's all.
Well, you couldn't, because there was no real villain. It's like, okay, I'm after you because you killed my wife, but you were forced to kill my wife by somebody else that also had your wife. Then there's a guy who wants to overturn Rome, and you're like, well, they did mistreat him, so he's kind of good. Then so the only real villains are maybe the emperors, but then it said that they're mentally ill, so you're like, well, they're incompetent and is that satisfying? Is that a good villain? So there was no one to really hate. You had to face consequences. Everyone was just kind of like, well, I'm doing this for good reasons. So the abstract theory of Rome became the villain, and that's just not satisfying.
Here's one here. Like, this will trigger Mauler. Casey Boyd, as we speak, I'm reading an article where the Arcane showrunner is making the excuse that they didn't have enough time in response to season 2 feedback.
If for anybody who isn't aware, I think his name is Christian Link. He's been saying some stuff for the past few days that killing Arcane fans' faith in him as I think he's the showrunner or executive producer or something. He's got a pretty high role, and he's been saying shit that's making everyone be like, oh fuck, that's why this season was terrible. He needs to stop talking. He's doing the thing where they keep talking, and he needs to stop.
Yeah, but that won't improve it. Like, at least if he keeps on talking, you're crap. We need a new guy.
It's just a matter of like when you start trying to answer questions in a genuine way, you'll say shit that makes everyone go like, what? Like, what are you talking about? One of the ones recently is, people are like, oh, why did one of the characters get so poorly served this season? And he basically just said like, yeah, we cared more about the other characters. It's like, bro, hello? You're what? You can't just say that. What do you mean? You made all these characters. So yeah, as someone just said, it's like Eric Kripke. It's like, yes, he needs to shut the fuck up as well.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather know the truth of why something was crap.
Oh no!
Than just
to be clear, I wish they would be completely transparent and honest about how much they fuck up these projects. But I'm saying, like, as a PR advisor role, like, you guys need to shut the fuck up.
It's really stupid to do. But from my perspective, I like
it. The other thing I was interested in was they have released a theatrical trailer for Snow White, but they haven't released it onto YouTube. So I watched it earlier, and I can't show it here because they're copyright claiming it wherever it pops up. But wow, I think I understand the reason why they haven't shown it. So you will get this if you go to the cinema to watch things like Wicked and stuff. You get to see it, and there's a few leaks of it on YouTube, but we can't show it here. But oh wow, this was like the first time you got to see Gal Gadot acting in particular, and she can do it.
No,
you got to see the dwarves in all their glory, because in the teaser you only got to see them dancing around in a little circle, right? So it's very quick. Here you get like full like frontal dwarf action, which is not something I ever thought I'd say.
Why did you say it that way?
There's a mental image for you, and good God, they look horrendous. These things are nightmare fuel, and they just look so shit. The CGI is terrible. Even the CGI animals during the song forest scenes look awful. I don't know what they spent the money on in this film, but God, it wasn't the VFX, that's for sure.
It's gonna be bad. Not that we didn't know it, but you know.
Yeah.
Did you notice as well, everything that we've heard of, this is how many reshoots they've done, everything we've heard of before that was going to be in the movie, like there was going to be like, what was it, some pirate tribe or something? Because they tried to use that as the excuse of the photos that we saw in the Daily Mail ages ago. Then the dwarves were going to be like random fantasy animals. All that's changed. So no wonder the CGI's crap. It was never meant to be in the movie in the first place as dwarves.
Yeah.
It's like half finished placeholders that they just decided to roll with. Man, because I'm sure they know the ratios that they're going to get on that will be horrendous, and there'll be no way to hide it. But they're going to have to release it eventually, like they always do, sooner or later. And this is where you should be building up the hype for your movie, because it's not that long until it comes out. But wow, yeah,
I think it's because of what Rachel said after the election. I think that made them go, "Oh, we're going to have to wait now." Because everyone's already focused on her, because there was that, then there was the stuff on Spellbound, so she's still in the cycle, and they might want to wait for that to die down.
Well, it's like, if you're going to do that, right, like, oh, we'll just let everything quiet down after Rachel Zegler says something dumb, like the movie will come out in like 2076, like when she's like died of old age or
the trailer
something.
3 years after the movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll never get the thing done. Like, I don't know, can someone from their PR team not just tell her to stop talking to anyone about anything ever? Just hold your peace until the movie comes out, and then you can blab as much as you want.
Well, back in the day, Drink, it's crazy. They used to be able to say things that encouraged people to see the film, you know, and we're saying things that fans were like, "Oh wow, that seems exciting," but we don't do that anymore. We're not allowed.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with me, unfollow me. I don't need your business. It was the classic comment.
It seems like an easy slam dunk to promote a movie like this. It's like, it's
so.
Movie that made Disney, you know, and it's got like the biggest legacy you can ever imagine.
What an honor to be a part of it, and I hope you know my portrayal can bring something to the role that perhaps wasn't there before, but at the same time respects everything that came before. Because holy shit, look at what was built on top of it. Wow, what a movie. Great stuff. Go see it. All right, where's my paycheck?
There you go. That's with no prompting. We just did that. You've done better than Rachel Zegler's managed to do in the past 2 years.
What a bar to clear. I did it.
It's like you didn't soil yourself live on air, so you've done better.
All future interviews will just have like Mauler in a mic in her ear, just telling her what to say.
Just say the words, Rachel. Say the words.
He like drifts into saying, "I kind of hate the original." And I'm like, no. We talked about
those Kamala Harris pearl earrings.
You need to have someone standing by with like a tranquilizer dart or something. It's like, oh shit, she's going off script. Get her.
I was watching her old Snow White interviews like today though, and there's one where they go, "So is she's gonna be like a Disney princess?" And she goes, "Well, she'll be a princess for 2022. I'm like, oh no. Even she's like, no.
And boy is she, because I've seen the trailer. And I'm like, oh my God. They went that far.
It's pretty extreme. And like I say, it's that killer combination of like one actress who nobody likes and another actress who everyone likes but can't act. I mean,
everyone likes Gal Gadot. Isn't she like super controversial at this point?
No, they just like her because she's attractive. That's why she gets.
If she was a minger, nobody would like her. But at this point, she's one of the most beautiful women in the world. So you get a free pass when you look like that. You get to play life on easy mode. But yeah, I mean, as far as I was aware, she's still pretty popular.
She's got you've got the political stuff that people come through for, and then. She said some cringy things here and there regarding media, but you're probably right. I mean, I see a huge increase of people making fun of her for acting compared to before, you know, It seems to have gone up over time.
I mean, yeah, the bubbles burst to some extent there. I think like,
oh yeah, she did the Imagine thing. Yeah, that was cringe.
Yeah, there was that.
I forgot all about that until you just brought it. Although my favorite is still I take responsibility.
Wait, oh yeah. It's the fact that they got Jesse Pinkman in there as well. Like, God, man. Not you too.
I'm surprised like a group of even just 5 like comedy focused-ish celebrities didn't just make a big sketch like joke version of that, and put it out like as a public thing. I feel like that'd be fun. Like Ricky Gervais and a bunch of other people maybe doing like a quote unquote real one, but it's obviously fake. It would be fun.
Yeah. Eurodoc says, "All hail to the Fellowship. Besides Rachel Zegler, who else has Hollywood tried to make happen besides being generally disliked?" I mean, the example I was going to point to there, like not to say that she was disliked, but Gal Gadot was someone that probably 10 years ago, like, wow, she was tipped to be the next big thing. She did Wonder Woman, that was a big hit, and everyone was in love with her. And she was signed up for all these projects. She was going to be playing like Cleopatra.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Really? Yeah, that never came to anything. And then she did Wonder Woman 2, and wow, yeah, that just all kind of vanished. And now is she 40 now? Hold on. I'm not to say she's old, but like she's getting to that point where actresses are no longer.
Well, you could be realistic about it.
Prime years.
Hollywood does the thing where it's like you've reached an age where we can't properly invest in you, so go away.
Yeah, so she's 39, so she's going to be. Oh, weirdly, she was born on April 30th, which is my birthday. Oh my God, we're like the same person.
To Muller's point, I think when it comes to like, it's sad to me seeing like these great actresses get sort of filtered out through time. Like I just had on my TV, there was like, I guess Jessica Alba's got a new like home improvement show or something. She still looks great. I don't know why she isn't in more stuff now. She's a beautiful actress, and it's sad.
I asked this question as well, and apparently it's like she got into fashion. She bought like a fashion company or something like that, or no, like beauty products.
Yeah.
And now she's a billionaire.
Yeah. She doesn't need
literally, yeah, like insanely rich and successful. And so she just said to Hollywood, like, yeah, fuck you, jog on. Like, I'll be by the pool if you need me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's nothing to worry about. They go from playing the hot like characters to the hags and the witches. It's fine. There's plenty of roles. You just need some more
yeah, but that's what they're trying to do with Gal Gadot here, but it's like they're trying to do it about 20 years ahead of schedule.
That's what I mean. It's so funny, the formula for transitioning women from those roles to those roles, that it does feel like they've done it too fast. It's like, slow down.
But I imagine with a lot of actresses, like there will come a point where the agent has to have the talk with them and sort of say, look, you're not going to be able to play the lead beautiful leading actress in this. You're gonna have to play the mother-in-law or something. Like you've transitioned to a different stage in life. Okay, it's okay.
I think also with the current days being what they are, though, you still end up with people like Gal Gadot being more attractive than the person that they're supposed to be jealous of the attractiveness. Because where it used to go from like the most attractive people they could find to the younger most attractive people they could find, now they've gone from the most attractive people they could find to mids. And so, as people age, in comparison, you're still like, wait, no, you're way more gorgeous than the current leading ladies. And so you've definitely gone downhill in that way. Because everyone's commented on the fact that why on earth is Gal Gadot jealous of not being the fairest of them all in this movie?
They had to redefine. They had to redefine what fairest of them all meant. And like now it means like truthful and just,
the most
nice leader. She's the nicest of
them. Yeah, basically like someone who tries hard or whatever. And it's like, I feel like that's a backdoor way of saying you're ugly as fuck, but like you're nice.
Especially when they got Rachel to say it herself in interviews. I feel like that's just mean.
Fair and true.
Well, when the mirror said, she's fairer than you, and then Gal was like, what? He goes, no, not like, hang on, not like that. Let me get...
In the trailer, the mirror does actually go, well, obviously, you are the most beautiful person in the kingdom, but... And then so, even the mirror is telling her that in the movie.
Oh, God.
What? Yeah, there was like there's one of those memes that keeps cropping up on Twitter every so often. All right, here it is. I'll see if I can bring it up. Let's see. All right. Talk amongst yourselves just for a couple of seconds while I do this.
All right. Well, how about that background, Brawler? Look at that. Look at that.
Oh yeah, I'm
Batman
glad you
there.
mentioned it. This is my the first time I've done something like this, like officially. So I had to doctor it up, try to make it
Good.
spiffy. I had, you know what? It's so like
I
when
like
it
the
comes
word
to
the use of the word
Spiffy.
spiffy.
oh yeah, spiffy, yeah. Like I invested so much money. Like I have a lot of Star Wars Hot Toys back there, and wow, there was a time when a lot of that stuff didn't bother me, and I just spent so much money on Disney garbage,
Is that?
and I'm so disappointed in myself. But at the same time, there's a
It's
part
got
of me
all
that
the
still
Rachel
like those
Zegler Funko Pop.
characters. Yeah, so yeah, tons of Rachel Zeglers right behind those pictures. I tried to hide them. You taught
Sorry,
me.
I'm very distracted because I just spotted. Is that Ocean May? And you've got
It
like,
is, yeah. So I
one
did
of them-
this. I did this piece.
Oh, sorry, I'll
Let
bring
me
this
pull it
away.
up real quick. One second.
I can't do this.
You have to full screen him.
Yeah,
I watched Once Upon a Time, and I never clicked to me that actually, yeah. Why is she
Sorry,
jealous
I'm
of her?
put my earbuds back in.
I'm excited. What's going to happen?
All right, yeah. So
you're in
this
control,
was
sir.
inspired by you guys. You guys really inspired me to do this. I watched Acolyte. Obviously, this developed because of it. Yeah, it's the monstrosity of Disney, and yeah, I thought. I mean, I tried to do what you see.
Wait, did you draw that?
I drew this. Yeah, I'm an artist. So this
Good
is
job.
yeah. I think this captures both OSHA and May pretty well. So,
Both of her expressions.
this was supposed to be a quick little
That's way
drawing.
more acting than Amanda Stenberg did.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. Not as depth. She literally, I mean, she made both of these faces. This one was
I remember them.
yeah,
She made a whole two faces.
yeah. And then I also, while that was up there, since you mentioned it, Drinker, I gave him some prints of these, but I also did Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, I've got
That's
that
the
just
other
over there,
one.
actually.
Yeah, so it's hard to see with like my monitor, but yeah, so just paying my respects. Paying my respects.
All right,
It was
well,
like Drinker, you survived.
Just pulling all the strings, as y'all know.
That's brilliant. What was this one here? Shan says, all you said during this open bar about actresses reaching a certain age and their agent boss having their talk is literally the start of The Substance. Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it
the
is, yeah.
substance addresses a lot of what we've been talking about, actually. Which is often a lot of people voted that best film of the year, which is fair. Like in terms of how many people here have seen that by any chance?
I know the story. I haven't seen it, but like I know the kind of themes and stuff that it's trying to address, and I think it's an interesting topic to tackle.
It is very creative, and the thing that set me onto watching it was that Chris Gore said the film that he would describe it nearest to was The Fly, and I was just like, I have to see this now that you've said that.
You hear body horror, and you're just like, "Yep, sign me up."
I would say it's worth seeing just as a sort of like, you know, keeping up to date with some of the shit that's still coming out. I'm pretty happy that something like that got made in 2024.
Yeah,
it's got this much publicity. It's cool.
What's it called?
The Substance.
It's got
So,
Demi Moore and
wacky-
Dennis Quaid in it.
Yeah, fair warning. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's you're gonna be surprised by what happens in it for sure.
I've seen some of the backstage stuff where they were doing the effects and said they didn't want to do CGI stuff. They did as much of it in real life as they can. So
Yeah, it's
people
cool.
have like full body suits and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, like the makeup effects that I've
This is
seen,
the
like
one with
pictures
the
of,
full
looked
frontal
incredible.
nudity I heard about, is it?
Yep.
Oh.
Lots of everything. Body horror.
I think
existential
that.
horror. Yeah, it's a movie.
Like lots of everything. It sounds like
I'll
got
be
multiple of them.
cautious.
Yeah. There was this one here as well. Whenever I see Rachel, I'm like, someone throw that girl a sandwich. She may faint from malnourishment. That is one of the things that stood out for me actually in Wicked with Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Good Lord, get her a cheeseburger. Like
Both
she
of
is
them.
so frail looking. Like I get that she might have gone for the sort of the dainty kind of wispy kind of look to her. That makes sense a little bit in the context, but wow, she just looks ill throughout most of the
was
film.
heavy, you know. She never
With
was
the weird-
thick or anything.
No, she was never big.
It's like
The weird thing is the comparison from the movie to now. It's like what's happened in a couple of years because you were fine in the movies, but then when you started doing the press tour,
yeah,
looked like skeletons.
Yeah, I don't know if it's stress or whatever. Like, it's obviously a pretty demanding business what they're doing, and maybe that's
could just be
causing it, but-
standard Hollywood pressure for everybody to be as thin
Maybe
as
it's
possible.
karma.
You know.
Might be, yeah.
Did you hear about her stealing people's boyfriends and everything?
What?
I did hear a little bit about that.
Yo, I saw this whole thing on her stealing boyfriends.
That because that shit got kind of ignored for a long time,
Yeah.
and then like the Cynthia Erivo stuff almost like caused people to look a bit more closely into this movie, and that's when this came out again. And yeah, like the dude's like one of her co-stars in that movie. Didn't he leave his wife and kids for Ariana Grande?
Her,
Damn.
yeah. And you wouldn't think he looked the way he looks. You'd think she could do better.
Wow.
Well, it was probably the wife and kids that made him more attractive. If
Like,
if
she's
you
just
do
like
that
the
multiple
kind
times, you begin to
kid
get like a
You.
it's your type.
She's like interested in a guy who's like, "Wait, are you married?" And he's like, "No." She's oh,
It's like social proof. It's like, well, this one's a good.
It's like claiming a scalp or something, you know. got another
I
one.
need to know I'm better.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But no, that's kind of an interesting one, and I don't know, yeah, like it came to light, like I say, because of some of the other controversies. But no, it's funny how these things get swept under the rug sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what? She blew me away, Ariana Grande. I had so much fun
She's with a
watching
lot
her
of
on
people.
there. She was so much fun. She was so much fun in Wicked. I was really impressed. And you know, I didn't feel like either of them, something that I was just so thankful for, was neither of them really preached at all. It didn't really seem preachy. I felt comfortable. I felt like I wasn't like being delivered a message and then I could just
No.
sit back and watch these characters develop with maybe something in the background. I didn't exactly didn't bother me necessarily, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like there is a kind of, I guess there's a message in the film, but like it filters through from the stage production as well about like accepting differences and, you know, the outcast who ultimately proves themselves and all that sort of stuff. Like it's fairly generic stuff, and I didn't feel like it was trying to make a specific political point or anything, which was nice. It was a fairly universal message in the movie and the stage show. So that all went as well as you might imagine, and yeah, I think both the main actresses delivered what they needed to do. Like as I say, like with Ariana Grande, I didn't expect much from her, but like yeah, she's actually a pretty good performer in front of the camera. She can emote. She's got a bit of a range to her, and the fact that she can sing and dance and she can do all the choreography no problem. That obviously is a huge bonus for something like this. There's a bit where Jeff Goldblum is trying to dance a little bit and sing, and it's like, no, you can't do that, Jeff. Just calm down.
Stop.
Is it Lucy Liu who's in this as well? Or am I? No, Michelle Yeoh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got them mixed up there. Michelle Yeoh, yeah, and like she has to try and sing at one point, and no, she kind of struggles with the English at the best of times, and when she has to perform like that, that's not a great combination. But it's very quick and it's over before you know it. So that's all right.
Michelle Yeoh's got to be getting on for like one of the most prolific actresses of all time, because it's a 50-50 bet if she's in any movie ever.
Well,
She, I mean, she can still bring it, I suppose, when she needs to. But
she went super popular after Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
yeah, I think it's almost like a late career resurgence. Like some actresses just like hit their stride at a certain point, and they can play really more interesting roles, and she's one of them, which is kind of cool. There's another super chat that came in while we're about Arcane. This one's for Deviant. Says the showrunners of Arcane are planning only 2 seasons so they could work on other projects. Reminds me of the showrunners of Game of Thrones finishing the series early so they could work on other projects, and we all know how that turned out. When will they learn?
After seeing Act 2, like we had concluded, holy shit, they've sped run this story. And we were all saying, it's like, as soon as Act 3 is over, they're going to announce some big set of things about the future of, this whole IP. And surely enough, they announced 3 new shows the second this one ended. And everyone's been complaining about it being rushed. And it's like, yeah, well, we only had 2 seasons. And it's like, why did you only have 2 seasons? Why not have more seasons when you need more seasons, when everyone likes your show? It's this bizarre shit, man. It's not the first time this has happened, and it is very much a thing of like, how are they not learning from this? I don't understand.
You'd think the series that led into your announcement of we're giving you way more would be the most important one. That's the one you'd really focus on, not rush.
But no, I think it's a matter of some bean counter upstairs was like, we need as many shows running as fast as possible. So do whatever you have to do to help us launch a whole bunch more off of the one. But you'd think even then that they'd continue the original one while making more.
If it's successful.
You would have thought so, yeah.
But they're locking off Arcane as 2 seasons and it's done, which I don't think anyone understands at this point.
No. Like, if you got a good thing, like, you need to run with it. And, yeah, for lack of a better word, exploit it as best you can, because that might not last. Mathian says, someone adapt Gotrek and Felix from Warhammer, damn it. I don't understand that reference. Is this like actual, like, original Warhammer, not 40k? In which case, I know absolutely nothing about it, so I apologize. And Shan Wikram Singh says, to add about the substance, unlike the main character, is catapulted Demi Moore right back to the center of attention with deserved awards and talk. And yes, it's easily the best film of the year by far. Wow.
I will say, good for her for doing a role like that, because that takes a real suppression of your ego to do some of the things she did in that film.
There's full frontal dwarfism, isn't there?
Demi Moore is a full frontal dwarf. In the
it's weird because
like you watch this after I get off.
I do,
but then I heard full frontal dwarf and I'm there.
Normally you have to pay a premium for that, but we can get it in the substance for nothing, man.
Oh god.
The other big thing that's come out this week, I suppose, is the news that Captain America 4, A Brave New World, is going in for like its 27th round of reshoots. They just cannot get this movie locked in.
I think I saw a tweet that was like, it was a comment on it as though this ever works. It was like an alternate universe tweet. The idea was they were like, thank goodness we live in a world where they can change films indefinitely up to release to make them perfect. It's like, yeah, because that never happens. Like, when do they ever say like, oh, we reshot this 1 billion times and that's how it became the best thing ever?
Because you definitely want the original. I want to see how bad it was.
I want to be one of those test audiences just to experience the nightmare that is.
I don't know what else they want to fix right now. I mean, is it? I guess it's based off maybe trailer reactions or something like that. I mean, it's so late.
It's test audiences. That's all it is. Like, I suppose they have to wait until the VFX and stuff are finished and ready to go, and then they'll do another batch of test audiences. And if that feedback is terrible, then they're like, shit, we have to try and fix this again. But it honestly feels like trying to polish a turd at this point. Like, if the basic idea of the film is wrong, you're not going to make it, you're not going to fix it by reshooting it. You just have to, like, start again.
I wonder if it's like a matter of, let's just say with the first test audience, a bunch of them say, what the fuck was that? And then like, what do you think's wrong with it? And they go, well, you clearly needed and then name some generic random event that could happen. And they put it in. And then the next audience say the exact same thing, but they ask for a different random event. And then the third audience see it. And that first random event that got put in, they're like, I don't like that one. Take that back out. And then just like,
I mean, yeah, because you're always going to be dependent on how retarded your test audience is. But I would assume they do a whole bunch of these and then they'll just average out the feedback. Like, so if there's a consistent theme, like, okay.
Well, dude, at this point, just get the fucking test group to make the film.
They said it's Disney employees. That's who's the test audience is.
I like how you said I like how you said how retarded the audience is.
They're picking. If they're really woke, they're going to say, well, the movie's not woke enough. But if they're normal like us, they're going to be like, well, this is missing, or this isn't right, or it's too much of this. So
Like when I was making my video about this, like I was trying to research the production history of this movie and all the various ideas that they've like claimed that this story was going to be about, and it was everything from like the Celestial, from the Eternals, to like like more like monsters from outer space, to like a grounded and realistic gritty thriller like Winter Soldier. It's like been everything in its time. And none of it seems to be working. And I don't know where they're going to go with it. It just feels like a movie that they made because they had to fill a release schedule. It's like, well, we need another Captain America movie. We've got to launch, Sam Wilson as the new Captain America. We just need a movie about it. Do we have a story? We'll figure that out later. And that seems to be why they've ended up where they are. Like, and nothing that they're doing is working. And yeah, like, this idea that you can keep editing and editing and reshooting, you're just going to end up with a Frankenstein's monster of a film. It'll be like 5 different versions all sandwiched together into one. And yeah, that's never going to work.
It's just so insane to me because, like, most humans want to be lazy. Like, they want to do as little work as possible for the money they get. That's generally people at work. So the easiest thing you could do to make a movie is just take a comic book and just make that. It's like, you need a script? Okay, I'm just turning this into this. It always amazes me how much work they make to not make the source material. It takes them so much more effort to get it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose there's elements that you take from it to try and craft it into a movie, but maybe a full comic book is going to have too much out there, like crazy stuff that audiences just won't be able to grapple with. But yeah, man, it just feels like there's got to be so much stuff out there that's pure gold after like 50 years of comic books. Why try and make a brand new story, or why try and like amalgamate a whole bunch of different things together into something else? It's just the thing that's surprising about it is they obviously did used to be good at this stuff. They knew how to make good movies. They did it for at least 10 years with the MCU. Like, what's changed? Why do they not know how to do it now? Why have they lost all their confidence?
They're still trying to straddle the line, I think, of doing what they've been trying to push and actually make money. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They can't find that sweet spot of being able to do that. That's just a theory I got.
I also think that, you know what, none of these characters are like real humans at all. We just don't see them like go through everyday trials and tribulations that all of us can fall in love with and understand just broadly or particularly based on who they are. I'm just so sick and tired of seeing so many of these new characters in every media just become like little manufactured shells of what a human person is in this modern day. It's so disappointing. So many of the great characters I grew up loving, they were so three-dimensional, and man, none of these Marvel characters are that way anymore.
Well, they're all just derivatives now of the previous iteration of the character. So Sam Wilson now, like, even though he was like a nicely fleshed out character with his own identity before, now he's just a derivative version of Captain America.
Not only like derivative versions are everywhere, but they've also got this weird obsession with the arc of just believe in yourself, like that. Instead of, overcoming an insecurity or defeating a personal issue in your life or personified by some greater threat, it's going to be you were great and you needed to understand how great you were to be greater.
Yeah, and how is anyone going to believe that somehow he's able to defeat Red Hulk? That has to be the worst choice they could have possibly chosen to pin up against this new, grounded hero that we're supposed to fall in love with and believe especially without the super soldier serum.
From what I've seen, they're starting to spin up the whole, like, the suit provides him loads of boosted strength now. And it's like, yeah, well, they're going to need something because it doesn't make any fucking sense otherwise. He's going to get smooshed into mist.
Why even bring Red Hulk into it? If you want a grounded, gritty, believable action thriller, like, what's believable about a fucking gigantic red monster that can, like, destroy everything in his path?
Because it would have been a checkbox. They would have been like, how can we get people into the cinema? Okay, what do people like? Well, they like Hulk. Can we get Hulk? No, Hulk wouldn't fight him. Okay, is there any other? Okay, there's a red guy. So it's Red Hulk. He can switch in for that. And they just see everything as interchangeable. And I think one of the reasons you can't have the good characters is because to make a believable human character, they have to act in believable human ways. And that means playing into gender roles. Like Black Widow would always have to use her looks to get the edge on men just to actually survive. He will always need the super serum to actually go head to head with someone that's better than him. But by saying you need the super serum, you're saying that you're not good enough as you are. And they're like, well, you can't do that. That's offensive. And
Which
so now
has the
like,
detrimental
well, no, he's
effect
just perfect.
that they don't give a fuck about of undermining the strength of a Hulk like type, the Hulk, Red Hulk, whatever have you. Because you remember Avengers, right? He goes toe to toe with Thor, and it's like an actual fight because it's a god versus the Hulk. So that makes you feel like the power level is still maintained. In the second one, you have Iron Man, but he's covered in so much bulky armor that gets shredded off piece by piece by piece, restocked. Like that maintains the sense of the power of the Hulk. But holy shit, the MCU has just destroyed any sense that the Hulk has any power at this point. Like, embarrassment. And Red Hulk, yeah, I mean, it'll be funny. So we got that.
I like the people defending it though, because you had the poster where he's just literally punching him into a wall, and people are like, "Well, the shield absorbs the energy." I'm like,
displaces it.
Yeah.
And you saw when Falcon or Captain America was flying, and he throws the shield and he hits all of those missiles. It's like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Is this real?
Master of maths, physics, and like everything, rocketry. He'd have to know the force and momentum of everything.
And he's just a guy.
Yeah,
He's not a super soldier. He's just a guy. Just, it's sad. I mean,
even
like
with the serum, there's only so much he can take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how they explain it. I want to see.
Isn't it the same guy who worked on Falcon and the Winter Soldier is now doing this?
No surprises there.
Like writer-wise. Like, and that show was just, you want to talk about preachy, that took it to another level.
You need to do better.
Fucking garbage.
How the hell does Falcon not get some money he needs for all the service he's done for the world?
Yeah.
Gosh. Can't take it anymore.
Yeah, people in chat are agreeing. Yeah, apparently it's the same guy. So that should tell you everything you need to know, really. I was looking up the director for this as well. Like, he is not a prolific or experienced director for this movie. Hold on. I'm trying to remember his name right here. But yeah, he's only done, I think, 4 other films, and they've all been pretty low budget. Let me see. Yeah, so director
prove himself.
Julius Ona. So he's done 4 other movies before this. They are all... Oh, he did the Cloverfield Paradox, actually.
Ooh,
that's his biggest one.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm against all the sequels to that. I really like the first one.
He didn't write it or produce it. He directed it. So, yeah, draw your own conclusions from
for
that.
anybody who may be confused, the Cloverfield Paradox is not Cloverfield. Those are 2 different movies.
Right.
Neither of the sequels are. They were just random scripts that they were like, well, how can we sell this? We'll just put Cloverfield on it.
Yeah. And 10 Cloverfield Lane actually was good up until the last 10 minutes of it.
I
was
really
a nice,
John
like,
Goodman
tight
in it.
little... Yeah, it was a nice, like, tight, claustrophobic thriller. Thought that was decent.
It just annoyed me because it wasn't Cloverfield. So
Yeah, well,
even though
yeah,
I
it
could
wasn't,
appreciate it as a movie, attaching the name made me hate it.
I get that completely, yeah. If you watch Cloverfield and then you get told that's the sequel. Okay, all right.
We attach it in the last 20 seconds.
Yeah. And then the Cloverfield Paradox was just nonsense. Absolute insanity.
Yeah.
But
do you guys have sorry, Drinker, if I'm detracting, I'm just curious.
No.
Do you guys have any optimism for the new Lord of the Rings film, War of the Rohirrim? Is there any optimism at all?
No.
I haven't had optimism since the first article where it goes that she's going to go off and find a long lost tribe of female warriors to save the world.
I thought you were just going to say I haven't had optimism since I was born.
Well,
I'm English, that's natural.
we're British. We don't have optimism in this country. Not since speaking to Gary about it, because he has seen it through means which we will not discuss. And he said, it's everything that you would fear it would be.
Of course.
Well, you have to. There was a quote from the people that made it who said, we had all these really great, well-written, named characters that did all these amazing events, but we were really attracted to this nameless woman that did absolutely nothing, that we were just drawn to her for reasons that we just can't, and they even say, that's what we thought we could bring our experiences to. I'm like, frankly, you're not that interesting. I don't want you in a movie. Like, I don't want your experiences anywhere near entertainment, quite frankly.
There's an article from Screen Rant that tries to tackle that, where they say, from a character ignored by Tolkien to starring in her own film, who is Hera Hammerhand? She's fucking nobody. She's nobody. That's what. And the thing is, Tolkien created this world, so he's under no obligation to create characters because he should.
Tolkien
ignored her. What do you mean he
didn't even create her in the first place. He didn't ignore her because she wasn't even a thing. She was like a footnote in the history of Middle Earth.
That's right. I could be like Tolkien ignored Lord Gumbo, my favorite Hobbit, and he didn't make a story about him. You'd be like, what are you talking about? It's like, he ignored him, damn it!
You're like, look, it mentions that over his shoulder was another Hobbit. Like, I named him.
I want him to have a story, Tolkien. Come on.
It's a shame because the art style and the animation looks really nice, and if this had been done well, it could have been like a fantastic addition to the Lord of the Rings canon, I suppose. But yeah, it's just another girl boss, from what I've been told. Just another girl boss who wants to break free of the traditions of her people and realize her own power and believe in herself, you might say.
Gosh. Well, that was the thought, going into Wicked. I thought those trailers were horrendous. I thought that that was absolutely going to be the case for Wicked, with Elphaba, and not really Glenda, but mostly just Elphaba, just being this absolute girl boss story, just her putting everybody down. And I was really surprised that wasn't the case, because the advertising really seemed like that, just strictly the trailers. So I was hoping maybe there'd be a chance it wouldn't be the case with this War of the Rohirrim, but yeah, that shatters my optimism.
It just shows how far they'll go just to get a girl boss into a movie like this. Rather than take all these actual characters that Tolkien created and make a story about Helm Hammerhand, for example. We'd love to see that. Did he create Helm's Deep, the battle that took place there? How did he earn his place in the history of Middle Earth?
Cool. He literally used to walk out into the mists and fight people barehanded and just kill them all and come back on his own against an army. That's the guy you want to make a story about.
But instead, it's no, we'll pick this person who didn't even exist and didn't have a name, and we'll craft an entire history around her because we just want one that badly.
How does this make any sense, by the way? If they're going to make a claim like Tolkien ignored her, because then they would be ignoring Helm Hammerhand to make this, right? At least somewhat.
How would you ignore someone that you never even gave a name? That's what I want to know. He needed a wife, and he just went, well, this wife existed, because she was completely irrelevant to the story, except the fact that somebody wanted to marry her. So...
Interesting as well. Gladiator 2 now at 307 million worldwide.
Wow.
I mean, after a week, a week. That's
it's 2 weeks international, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, the big one will be the domestic, ultimately, because that's where your main market is for a movie like this, and so it's only been out for one weekend. I imagine it will bump up quite a bit this weekend. It'll be interesting to see what the legs are like on it.
If America's their main source of revenue, why did they release it a week late there? That sounds a really strange decision.
It's honestly weird, because you're just encouraging piracy ultimately. A lot of people are just going to say, well, I'm not waiting for this, I'm just going to surf the high seas for it. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was there.
Concerning Gladiator 2, I'm definitely curious what you guys are thinking. Because due to Pedro Pascal's performance in this, do you have more confidence in him playing Reed Richards?
No.
Did that give you any kind of a boost either?
This doesn't encourage me to think of him as an action star. I'll say that much. He felt a bit out of his depth in this one.
I got a question. Where did he come from? Because I know you guys are more enthusiasts than me sometimes. I just remember him from The Mandalorian. That's where I was introduced. Other than that,
he's actually been around since the 90s, believe it or not. But I think it was small roles and stuff. But I think he really cut his teeth in Narcos. I think that was his breakout role. Then he was in Game of Thrones. And
okay, and I didn't watch it. I know I'm guilty. I didn't watch all of Game of Thrones. So okay, all right.
Yeah, so that
If
really
anything, that's the
blew
right
him up.
decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch the first 4 or 5 seasons and you'll be fine. Just make up your own ending after that.
Yeah, I've heard about the rest.
Literally people mentioning it. He does appear in Buffy for 5 seconds and then gets eaten.
He was in Buffy.
That was his,
Yeah.
probably his best role.
He's a funny one where he's been around forever. It's just like he didn't make an imprint until like the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, it's like you go back and you watch certain movies and somebody has since become famous and you're like,
Yeah.
yo, he was in this. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I suppose it's the grind, isn't it? Like you've just got to keep grinding away in small roles and hope that you make it. And I guess that's what he did for a long time. And now that he has made it, boy, oh boy, is he making the most of it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was looking up his filmography actually earlier. He's been in 5 different movie productions this year alone. And that's not even counting TV shows. When I looked up, because people were encouraging me to see The Wild Robot. Apparently that's meant to be really good. And I was like, okay, I'll look that one up. And yeah, sure enough, fucking Pedro Pascal does one of the voices in that. Of course he does.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Pedro Pascal is in the room with me right now, just so he can say he was on open bar.
Pedro Pascal cast as Smokey.
He'll go by in the background like.
So you saw Wild Robot?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man,
yeah, I was just looking it up earlier, but
it's phenomenal. I loved
it's meant
it.
to be good.
It's touching. Really
Choked
touching.
me up a little bit.
It did look good. All the trailers made it look awesome.
Has a lot of heart.
By the way, his upcoming reads: The Fantastic Four, The Last of Us, Avengers, The Mandalorian, and other Avengers. Just like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There was a good comment here. Where is it? Yeah. Dead Dingo Dan says the new Captain America movie sounds like when The Simpsons tried to revamp Itchy and Scratchy. You want a realistic, down-to-earth show that's completely off the wall and swarming with magic robots. Sounds about right. And Glenn Travis says, I heard part of the reshoots include a scene where mid-flight Captain Falcon tells Red Hulk, President Ross, you need to do better. I can believe that. Normal Man says, all these hack writers are like, I want to bring my experiences to X thing. Unless they skydive off to Mount Everest or fist fought a shark, I don't care about their experience of their dull and boring LA lives. I think that is part of the problem in a lot of cases. And we've talked about this before, where a lot of the writers that you have now haven't done anything particularly interesting. They haven't taken risks. They haven't been on crazy adventures. And so that comes across a little bit in their writing. They just don't have that well of experience to draw from.
Well, yeah, and it's like, how are you supposed to write about emotions, and how are you supposed to recreate those emotions in someone else if you've not felt them yourself? Especially if you think that you're... Because a lot of it's like, well, write what you know. It's like, well, they tend to write who they are, and who they are isn't very interesting in the first place, especially if you struggle with abstraction. Whereas you look at Tolkien, and he could come up with an entirely new world, then he brought his experiences of war to it, and so it was grounded as well as fantasy, and now it's like, you've just been brought up on the internet, and the only emotions you've felt are from other people's movies.
Yeah. This one baffled me. Drinker, watch Arcane Season 2. I am. Like, we've been talking about it at great length already. Like, I think I'm 1 episode shy of the end, that's all.
To be fair, we haven't really talked about the actual show, more meta stuff, but yeah. It's
yeah. I just find I just find Arcane exhausting now. I'm just going to admit it.
Well, I mean, honestly, Drinker, if you hadn't seen any of season 2, I wouldn't have recommended it to you. I'd have been like, nah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm having to work harder and harder to piece all the bits together to make this cohesive narrative, and I'm finding myself less and less inclined to actually do it.
You don't understand Machine Jesus getting werewolf blood that's going to turn him into a cosmic god?
Yeah, this is where they start to lose me, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
And then you've got an army of killer robots that are like fighting against the zombie people that are controlled by Victor, and fucking too much.
What was the gap between those two, like the first season and the second season? Did it take like forever for the second season to come out after the first
3
one?
years.
3 years, gosh. Who can pay attention for that long? Who cares?
Should have made it longer.
I was about to say, honestly, the problem, because like they've got to make the animation. The animation's the only thing that survived in terms of quality. Season 2's animation's amazing, but it's hard to care as much when the story is so bad. It's like, okay, yeah, cool, good stuff.
I did like this comment. Sorry as well. Remember, Amazon made a woman the reason for the invisibility phase walking ring. She never existed before, only to create the one ring. Hammerhand's daughter will do something evil. Justice for Lord Gumbo, the savior of women. I believe in you, Lord Gumbo.
He's my favorite character. I can't believe it. Tolkien ignored him, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal died on the way to his home planet, and he was never seen again. I was going to suggest perhaps doing a few super chats since there was a lot of them coming in while we were chatting here.
Like
let's
a good
go.
idea.
All right, let's see what we've got. The first one is from Michael Brocky, who says, Mauler, Welshpool speaks in a deleted scene in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow. I'll check it out at some point in my life, I guess.
Does he speak in accented Welsh or like accented English? Sorry,
there would be no point in making him speak if he didn't have a Welsh accent. They'd have to.
Yeah, or I was going to say, or is he going to speak in full actual Welsh, where just no one can understand him?
That would be funny, actually. That would be it. You know what? That would be so funny. They should have just kept it in because you can make so many jokes with that.
He's like,
yeah, we talked about this
stuff, and they're just like, I don't understand what the problem is.
I can't remember if this was like Friday Night Tights or if it was Open Bar or maybe Real BBC. But there was a joke we were talking about how he should have taken the mask off, or whatever, spoken Welsh, and you know, like they're labeling the individual Deadpools, like cowboy Deadpool. If they had a moment like that, nice pool with him and he speaks, they could be like, oh my god, alien Deadpool. Like that would have been like kind of funny, I think.
TGV Monster says, Happy Thanksgiving, you overseas goofballs. Don't know if I'll make it to the stream, but I'm thankful for you guys, especially you, Welsh goober.
All right,
there you go.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Gene the Revenant says, I meant to say this last week, but 2019 was the year that I discovered The Drinker and FNT. Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for 5 years of reviews, production hells, and open bars. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to provide you with these things. He also says, and if you get the chance, look up the old show WKRP in Cincinnati and watch the Turkeys Away episode. Ooh. Okay. Is that a Thanksgiving-themed one, I assume? Tom Waiting says, ever read any of the Discworld books? So that'll be the Terry Pratchett ones, I guess. I've never read them myself. Like, there's Wacky and Out There, and then there's Discworld. And I think it's just like next-level craziness, so not really been my thing. I like my fantasy a little bit more grounded, if that even makes sense. A little bit more like rational, I suppose. Pac-Man says, what is your favorite single reason for any show ever? Not necessarily your favorite show. For me, it's probably still Heroes Season 1. Single season, I think you were trying to say. So
I like that as a choice, by the way, from them. That's bold to pick the Heroes Season 1 because just how bad that show got. But Season 1 was pretty solid, I remember. It was good stuff.
Might be Lost Season 1, I think. I was absolutely glued to that.
Another bold choice.
Yeah, I mean, again, knowing how shit it became, obviously, but yeah, like when it was at its prime, it was absolutely addictive. So it'd probably be my choice.
I'll say just to throw it in, I guess Westworld Season 1, I was absolutely fascinated. That's one of the best pilots, like for any TV show. The first episode of Westworld, how fascinating of a world, you know.
Yeah,
I think mine would be Alice in Borderland Season 2. That was if anybody wants a perfect example of how you do characterization in a short amount of time, they will introduce an entire new team of people, and in 20 minutes, half of them are dead, the rest of them are gone. But you really cared about them during that time. They really good at like making you care about characters immediately. It's why when a series will go, we had 8 hours to make you care about them. It's like, that's just better, right?
I think Better Call Saul for me. I think just right off the bat, you just instantly fall in love with Saul, and I was totally glued. I couldn't stop watching. It was so disappointing when they ended it a couple years ago.
No,
Season 1 has all the Tuco episodes in there as well, right? That's one of the
ones. That's right off the bat. Yeah,
good shit.
And lots of Chuck.
That's what you want. Speaking of which, RRTNZ says once Chuck Norris got annoyed at a guy posting facts about him, so he climbed through the internet and punched that guy in the ouch. Also, congratulations on Rogue Elements. I think the fairest thing to say is that it achieves a lot for the resources that it had. It was entertaining and your cameo was mind-blowing. Literally, cheers. Yeah, I acted the shit out of that part and it was an absolute joy to have a little part in it. But no, it was good fun. And I think the team that worked on it, I think they did a really good job with it. So I am pleased with how it turned out. And I'm glad we finally got to release it because when I was looking at the dates there, it was basically 2 years. We did the Kickstarter back in 2022 in November, and the movie finally releases onto YouTube publicly in November 2024. So,
wow,
man, it's a long time, but it's all the post-production, man. It's crazy how long it takes to do all this stuff. But
didn't you say it was only a week of filming?
Yeah,
wow,
that's all it was.
That's insane.
So that like months and months of pre-production to get it ready, get the actors and all the things you need in place. You know, literally just a few days of actually filming it, and then the rest is post-production, editing, VFX, all that stuff has to be done. So yeah, it's weird. Like in the whole scheme of making a movie, the actual shooting of it is like just a tiny little component. John Evans says, "Hi Mauler, a request. Can catch-ups on your channel? Sorry, can catch-ups be your channel's priority? I think that's reasonable since people are paying for supers. Being months behind kind of sucks."
No, yeah, we've talked recently. We're getting stacked up on catch-ups because we have a couple of slots open for where we do recordings and stuff, but it was taken up by, we do the Halloween arcs at the same time as the Halloween prior years one releases, and so this year we had difficulty getting it done, but we actually this Wednesday completed it. It's all done now, so we can start me, Rags, and Fringy just with every moment of free time doing nothing but catch-ups. That's the plan. It's just a matter of trying to get all the editors there, stuff to work on as fast as possible, because when you have, it's a 10 movie arc for the next Halloween, so they need to start working on that now. Otherwise, it won't be complete before Halloween hits next year. So, we've been trying to get it done. As you could, where are we now? November? Yeah, we're at the end of November, so it's a little bit of time has been chunked out of them being able to do it, but it's just a matter of getting everyone together, timing and all that sort of stuff. But it is on the way. All of it is saved.
Nice. I did like this one as well. Drinker didn't have to downgrade his reviews to make his movie. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll be just as much of a cynical asshole as I've always been. Don't worry. I am not a filmmaker, so that's fine. I can separate myself from that.
Stuckman's been compromised.
Yeah.
Boy.
Here's the perfect name. Barry McCockiner says, "Hello, Drunkman and Person of Long. Will Ruin and Theory be on for Skeleton Crew? Their love of Disney Star Wars deserves to be shared at the bar." So I'd be happy to bring Theory on. I almost want him to just give me a rundown of the show and explain it if it's good or bad, because I so can't be arsed watching Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't.
I'll watch it, but I don't imagine I'm going to care about it that much.
When does it come out? Can't
question.
be long, surely.
I'm pretty sure it's soon at some point.
I was waiting for you to say it's actually been out for like 6 months, Drinker. Like, just no one cares.
Everything. I think I've noticed something. Everything we are kind of like drudgery about. I think Box Office Brawler. He's so new to this. He's so full of energy and life.
I'm happy, man.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm trying so hard. This world, Hollywood has been beating me down so far. And you know what? One of my missions, it's so disappointing how many people in their 20s and younger, I work with a lot of younger people too, how they're perfectly fine with eating all the shit that Disney and Hollywood has been feeding us. They are perfectly fine with it. And they think it smells great and they think it tastes amazing. So I really, that's something great about Drinker and all you guys is, bringing awareness. It's like, come on, guys. If we just look back at the older stuff, we get a much better taste of what true quality content is. Like, for instance, I just watched Apocalypse Now for the third time yesterday, and oh my gosh, it's like you look at that, then you look at Gladiator 2, and wow, just miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say as well, Box Office Brawler is trying to get to 1,000 subs, right? Now, we have got almost 9,000 people watching this at the moment, right? I think that's pretty doable. He only needs about less than 500 to get there. And I've put the link there to his channel. So if you guys were inclined to help him out, he actually produces really good content. That's partly why he's here tonight. So if you're inclined to give him a little subscribe, that would be pretty awesome. Let's see if we can get him over 1,000 subs tonight. Alrighty. Blue Collar Loser says, Drinker, I love that you're always helping out new people. Just watch some of Brawler's videos. He's great, and I hope he hits 1,000 subs and beyond. You're a legend. Thank you, man. And
Thanks,
we'll do what we can to get him there tonight.
It.
Tom Waiting, the Leader is one of my favorite Marvel villains. I've been waiting for over a decade for Tim Blake Nelson to come back and play him, and it's going to be Captain America 4, literally the monkey's paw. Well, that's what happens. Spaceman says, Paddington 3 and Cap 4 come out in the same day in the US. Americans, you better only watch Paddington. Also, I wish I could see Top Gear react to Jaguar. I would love to see that, actually, yeah.
I can't wait for Paddington. I love Paddington. He's awesome.
Those movies have been crazy successful, haven't they? Because I haven't really been following them. It's like not really my thing.
They're sweet. They're innocent, you know, made for adults and for kids. It's a good blend.
Okay.
Michael Kravith says, Evening, gents. Muller, just out of curiosity, will there be other unbridled praises in the future? I greatly enjoyed your video for The Father. And in fact, I first heard about the film when I saw your video.
Yes, they will.
Okay, short and concise.
Nice and you're straightforward.
Maybe it would have been Arcane season 2.
No, people have been asking if I'm going to make like an angry video about that. I was like, it's more apathy than rage. It's just sad.
That's literally the next super chat. Casey Boyd says, when is Muller making Arcane season 2 an unbridled lesbian orgy?
That's the thing, man. It's like it's weird. You never know when this is going to hit or in what way. But I'm pretty angry at like you'll get that when we do the streams on it. But I'm actually kind of in a mood to not even think about it anymore because of just how much it got butchered. It was just like fucking assholes. Like they ruined something really, really good, which is, you know, and everyone's just trying to find reasons for how it could have happened. And I'm just ready to say goodbye to it. Basically, it's like, oh well, there was, you know, because whenever you get a mainstream high budget thing that's producing good sort of storytelling, you're like, oh my god, grab it! It's right there. And then it's like, no, it's gone. You're like, oh fuck, well, never mind. Wait for the next one.
the dream has died. Stormbringer gifted 10 Critical Drinker memberships, so thank you very much. Deza says, Drinker, Dove Australia page, 2.4 million clip. Enjoy. Oh, okay. I'll need to look that up after the stream. B-Chain says, slappy Spanksgiving to my fellow Americans. To the people who haven't been to the moon, happy Thursday. Cheers.
Come on, man. That's not fair.
Johnny Tightlips, he ain't saying nothing, as always, but we appreciate you. Piston says, Drinker, now that you're a filmmaker, when can we expect a rebrand to the Sober Reviewer? Then you will finally be able to make positive movie reviews. Of course, yeah. I'm about film celebration on this channel now, don't you know? Just give me some films I can fucking celebrate, Hollywood. Jesus. Nick the Greek says, the day of plentiful booze and birds cheers. Thank you, man. And Royal Misfit says, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Wait, so Drinker? Oh, sorry. I don't know if I heard you say so. Did you say you liked Wicked then? Or that was something you...
Yeah, overall, I like it. Or in the sense that, like, I can see why people would like it. You know, my caveat to it would definitely be, if you like musicals and if you're a fan of the stage show especially, you'll love this movie. If you don't like either of those things, it ain't going to win you over. But it goes without saying. I mean, that's a pretty, like... Yeah, I'd want to spend a bit more time, like, just breaking down my thoughts on the plot and stuff and performances, but yeah, that would be my overall impression, I suppose. Jander says, happy Thanksgiving to the panel. I hope you all have something to be thankful for. Any favorite Thanksgiving movies? Are Thanksgiving movies even really a thing?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man.
Yes, they are.
My girlfriend and my ex-girlfriend, she used to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I'm talking about with John Candy and
Oh yeah, I didn't know if it
Yeah.
counted as a Thanksgiving film, but yeah, sure. I guess
I guess
I've never thought about it as a genre.
Yeah, I mean, I go for Christmas movies. It's so close to Christmas that they sort of merge in my head.
Yeah.
Gay Carpenter says, back in the day, you could always go and see a great movie after dinner. Too bad they don't make good movies anymore. True.
Yeah.
He just likes one.
Yeah.
Might as well go to the casino because you're gambling. You don't know what you're going to get. So,
yeah. Graph Webb says, for fuck's sake, cancel Disney Plus. Yeah. BTEX says, ever watched the Most Extreme Elimination Challenge? Is that an American show? I have not seen it, I'm afraid. I don't even know if it's a thing over here. No, sorry, man. Normal Man says, follow-up question from last time. If you guys became a showrunner for all the new Star Trek series, who would you cast as the captain? Assume you're in an alternate universe where you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want. So if you could pick any actor to be a captain in a new Star Trek show, who would you like to see?
Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, sure. Oh. He probably is already. They're filming it right now.
Gosh.
Oh, God.
I picked Charles Dance. I want an old grumpy captain. And I think he would just play it perfectly. So he'd be my pick.
Actually, the captain that I wanted to see was already in Picard season 3. It was the guy across the table who plays the same guy in literally everything. And I don't know his name, but he was in 13 Monkeys or something like that. 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, so he's like the acting captain, or he's the actual captain of like their starship, and he's constantly kind of biting back against everything that they say.
Yeah, I kind of like that character. I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah.
Out of everybody, I'd choose someone else, but off the top of my head, him.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Didn't Chris Hemsworth play like Kirk's dad in one of the movies?
He did.
I'd probably pick him and go back and explore his whole story.
That's what they wanted to do, I think, with like the next Star Trek movie, and Hemsworth was like, "No fucking way! You can't afford me." Insert username says, Drinker, congratulations on Rogue Elements coming out. I enjoyed it and I was happy to be a backer. Thank you, man, and I appreciate the support you gave. Do you think you'll have any more future short film projects? Well, yeah, potentially there's a bunch of different ways this can go. We might get commissioned for a TV series of this, in which case, actual production companies will be working on it and I can just like take a back seat and let them do what they want. Or we might have, potential to do other short films in different genres and, using completely, original characters or whatever. But we're interested in doing various things. I think Travis, the director, very much enjoyed his experience working on this and he's interested in doing more stuff. So I'd be up for it. We'll see what we can do. Deza says, loved your coverage on the election, Tyrone.
Thank you.
I wish I saw that.
It's a whole lot of laughing.
Yeah. Jack Crispy says, just a friendly reminder to watch Mr. In Between. Indeed. Mm-hmm. Mega Spidey Man, what would your ideal Avengers Endgame have been? I feel like Mauler, I'm going to let you answer this one.
Feels like a question that we would have answered back in the day, and I'm trying to remember what we even would have speculated on. Probably, it's a tough one because it's like it changes completely depending on how much you want to involve of like time travel mechanics or not. Are we going from scratch, or are we going from trying to keep a lot of what they had?
It's your fantasy, Mauler. You just go wild.
Well, I probably want to avoid time travel at all costs, and I want to keep the final bad guy being Thanos from the first film. I don't want to have a wiped Thanos. And then, probably do your best to try and make it about the core Avengers team and that this is their final mission together. And I've always liked the idea that they tried to rescue all of the new Avengers from being dusted. That was a cool idea, at least. And, you have Punished Thor. You don't do Fat Thor. You have Bruce actually having his struggle with the Hulk that is just carnage instead of lame gay Professor Hulk. Nobody wants that. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America having their 3v1 stuff like that. I would keep it's really great payoffs in there. It's just all in isolation. But to get more specific than that, we'd be here for hours. So it's.
I think that's a pretty good rundown already. So
yeah,
no, I can get behind that for sure.
I want to change my answer to the Star Trek question. It's either going to be James Spader or Ron Rifkin, who was Arvin Sloane. I want either to see Raymond Reddington or Arvin Sloane as a Star Trek captain. Villains take over. I just want to see what happens.
That is actually a cool idea, though, to have a bad guy as a captain, like just a piece of shit in the sense of a morally,
Well, they tried to do that with Discovery season 1.
You saw it with Deep Space Nine.
Isaac,
he was a bit more savage. He was willing to literally destroy entire worlds. Admittedly, he got them off the planet first, but they did have captains that go further.
I mean, well, would you guys be interested in one that's actually outright kind of like a bad guy and well written, not the Discovery one?
Well, I think they'd have to play within the rules of that, but you could have people that would push the boundaries a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to go against the ethos of Star Trek to that degree, where it's like, oh, he's just an actual psychopath or whatever, but he's trying to hide it in front of his crew. It would be fun as fuck, but I just don't think they'd allow it to happen. But yeah, it'd be a cool idea. I know, Tyrone, you're kind of out of time, my friend, and you have to bail on us. But I appreciate you coming in for this, my man.
I appreciate the invite. You know what I mean? As usual.
Yeah.
Nice
thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
If you're not sub to Tyrone's channel already, then please do give him a subscribe. You're at 2 million now, aren't you? Or you're almost
I got
Oh,
to
dang.
nice.
well done.
Good work.
I went through the woke times. And,
it was the best of times. It was the woke of times.
Yeah. As soon as woke really started getting prevalent, and I started expressing that I wasn't on board, then the subscribers were just like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And now, with Trump coming in, all of a sudden, subscribers are whoa. Guess he's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, man.
Hey, man.
All right.
Catch you later. I'll do a few more just before we finish up here. Random guy says, hey, Mr. Drinker, out of curiosity, have you ever seen Dragonheart from 1996 and Deep Rising from 98? If so, what are your thoughts on them? So Dragonheart had Sean Connery voicing the dragon, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun. It was goofy fun.
You had the monk that couldn't kill anybody, so he's shooting people in the arse with a bow and arrow.
Oh, yeah.
That,
that was Pete Postlethwaite, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good actor.
I had it on VHS. I've seen that movie so many times.
I think they had Dennis Quaid as well, which was kind of weird because it was meant to be set in Britain.
Why am I forgetting his name? Professor Lupin actor.
Oh, yeah. David Thewlis.
Thewlis, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he was the villain in it, and I'm not sure how much I bought into him as a villain. He's not exactly imposing.
Well, he played that was the point, though, wasn't it? He was like weak, frail, and shit, and the dragon heart kept him going because he was like a shit king.
A shit
king. I'm pretty sure that was the idea.
Yeah. No, like at the beginning, he gets injured in a battle or something, doesn't he? And then they give him the dragon heart to keep him alive, or like a chunk of it.
And then he's a cunt.
Like, yes.
Well, that's the thing. He does lose some fights, and he's like, "No, just stab me then," because he knows he won't. So he used vulnerability as like strength in a way.
Yeah, and Deep Rising. Yeah, that movie was a lot of fun. Actually, was it not the same crew that did The Mummy?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think it was. And yeah, it's a fun little adventure movie with a bit of horror thrown in. The plot's complete nonsense, but it's fun.
I see it in the same kind of vein as like A Knight's Tale. It was like sort of fantasy kind of thing, but it just doesn't take itself too seriously, and we don't really get stuff like that anymore.
No. So let me see. Written Stephen Sommers. Yeah, so he did. Yeah, so he did that. He did The Mummy, Mummy Returns, Scorpion King, and Van Helsing. So yeah, very much that period from like the late 90s to the early 2000s. Like you had a lot of these kind of light-hearted goofball adventure movies with a little bit of like,
He has a way of making
light
films,
horror.
man.
Yeah, and like he was fine in his day. I guess Van Helsing was a flop, at least in the box
Is that the one that had
office.
Kate Beckinsale in it?
Yes.
And out of the 4 you just mentioned, I feel like The Mummy was just a fucking absolutely banger compared to the Mummy Returns like a downgrade, and then Scorpion King is definitely a downgrade, and then Van Helsing is like, I love it, but I mean, it's, you know what I mean?
I love it, but because it's retarded.
It's a bit retarded.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch says, I just discovered drinker hate YouTube channels. I've never been angrier. I read Redemption in one day, couldn't put it down. No Mary Sue's to be found. I mean, well, there's always going to be channels that try to grift off your name, and just let them. Like, most of the time they're sad and jealous, and I just kick back and enjoy myself. Looking at it. Like,
For
let
me,
them
it was
be
a
mad.
Thursday.
Yeah. Topek says, with Nosferatu incoming, I would like to know the opinion of the panel about Interview with a Vampire. Cheers.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one.
Yeah, so that was 94 that came out, and I think that was probably the last time I saw it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not a film I ever felt obliged to revisit or anything. Because it's like a kind of gothic romance story, ultimately, isn't it? From what I recall.
I remember liking it, but the problem is it's been so long ago that I can't even remember if that's true anymore.
It could be true. You know what? It could be true, and that's close enough for me. Greeny Greenfield says, if you had creative control of how you'd adapt the first Tomb Raider game into a movie, how would you do the T-Rex scene in the Lost Valley, and how would you do it with... How would it look being done with practical effects? So... the T-Rex thing I might leave out. Much as I love it, it's going to be a tough sell as just like this random event that happens in the midst of a bigger quest. I feel like the introduction of dinosaurs still existing in the present day is not something you can just have a throwaway scene with. You kind of would have to explain it quite well, and you wouldn't have enough time in a film. But yeah, I'd love to see a Tomb Raider movie about like the actual search for the Scion and Natla and like the uncovering of the fate of Atlantis. Like, that stuff's all really cool. Why have we never had that in a movie? It's so stupid. But yeah, maybe one day. But yeah, I think it lends itself really easily to that kind of genre. M8566 says, hey Drinker, how did your experience as an extra help you prepare for your cameo in Rogue Elements? Well, like, that was a lot easier because I didn't have all the waiting around in a green room like you do when you're an extra. Like, you can spend the whole day just sitting there waiting to get called to set and not actually do anything. Whereas with this one, I show up whenever the fuck I want because I'm the Drinker. We shoot the scene when I'm ready. No, it was just a quick, like, we did it in the space of like 5 minutes or so. And then I was done. And then I was just like, kind of mooching around doing other things for the rest of the day. But I did get to keep the uniform on because it was actually really like loose and light, because it was a boiling hot day. So it was like the perfect thing to wear. So that helped. Anyway, Normal Man says, what kind of magic would a mad goose wizard specialize in? Making geese crazy or geese levitation? I've got to know.
Crime. It was like
beating up women, apparently. What's that? Domikazi says, don't know if you saw, but Disney gave Tony Gilroy a significant amount of creative freedom and gave no notes on Andor Season 2. I wish I could give him a dump truck full of money and have him take over.
Listen, let's see how Season 2 goes before we say anything about that. Like, I'm a little scorned with a little of other things, and complete creative freedom. Wow, that sounds fantastic for people we can definitely trust. We'll see. I'm hoping. Okay, I'm hoping.
He never learned.
Yeah. Ramon, who's been a member for 2 months, says, what makes more at the box office next year? Fantastic Four or Superman? That's going to be an interesting face-off, actually.
I think Superman. I mean, there's just so much weight to his name. Anybody's going to go see that.
You'd think.
I mean, fantastic.
If I was forced to bet, it would be Superman, I think.
I hope it is. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, because this Superman thing kind of represents a new beginning for DC, whereas Fantastic Four is kind of just more of the same for Marvel. And so I suspect Superman will do better. And I've got this sneaking suspicion that it's actually going to be good.
I'm not so convinced, but hopefully, maybe.
I agree that Superman's a bigger name, and so I think that'll do better. But I don't think like your average guy in the street will know that, oh, this is a new guy that's come in and he's doing a new slate of movie. I don't think they'll hear anything about that. I'm not even sure they know the difference between DC and Marvel a lot of the time. They just go off brands that they've heard of. Like, I had no idea that Blade was Marvel until like 2 years ago.
What?
Like, wait, what? I thought Blade was his own character.
Didn't you see the Marvel logo when you watched Blade?
Well, these movies are so long ago. I can't remember the general trends. But I'm not even sure at the time I even knew what Marvel was. I was never into comics or anything. It was only when Iron Man and everything came around that Marvel, I think, even became like a name I really knew about a lot.
All right.
Fair enough. Your favorite vampire succubus? Are you going to make response videos to any reviews of your movie? I'm sure people like YMS and the Birdman will have things to say. Nope. And I'm not going to watch what they have to say anyway, because I don't give a fuck. Like, the day I start caring what people like that have got to say about me is the day I stop drinking, man. Like, it's just not worth it. Yeah, there's people out there who are just going to shit on anything that I do, regardless of whether it's good or bad. So why would I put any stock in what they actually have to say about it? It's not legit criticism as far as I'm concerned.
I want to hear what Chris Gore has to say so bad. He's got to make a review. Him and Alan, man, I'd love it.
Chris, I'd be more interested in because I actually respect his opinions.
Oh.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch has joined up as a channel member, so welcome aboard, my friend. I'll just see if there's any other members super chats here. Yeah, Thomas Bergman says, must remember that Imagine is John Lennon's version of the Communist Manifesto set to music. Yoko insisted. And it's considered the greatest song of all time, apparently. That's, yeah, I feel like we could do better as a species. Let's see if there's anything else here. No, I think we're good in terms of member chats and stuff. So, yeah, we'll probably finish up there for this evening. Panel, my esteemed guest, Disparu, Box Office Brawler. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in for this tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Box Office Brawler, thank you for giving up some of your Thanksgiving.
Oh, gosh, man. I've had a blast. This was awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. This was great.
No, it's been great to have you on. And how is your channel doing? Did we manage to get you over 1,000? Yeah, it's must be close, surely.
I'm at 814.
Okay.
The re-upload will get him.
Hey, no, it's all good. It's all blessing. It's all blessing.
We'll have clips and stuff that will help with this.
All blessing. It's great. Yeah, I just wanted to come on. This was always just one of my dreams, coming on here, and partially why I started my channel was so I could get on streams and talk with the greats. So this has been fun. This has been awesome.
Well, I'm glad we could help you out a little bit. So,
you too, Disparu. Talking about you too.
I was like, you definitely
you'll do.
About them.
Well, for everyone that joined us tonight, thank you. I know a lot of you will obviously have stuff on with your families and stuff for Thanksgiving, but for those who came in, I appreciate it. And the super chats that we missed out on, we will, of course, as always, catch up on them. But for today, that is all we've got for tonight. So go away now.
Bye.
That's it.
See ya.